Hello there everyone, and welcome to the first part of my series on Storm Spirit. Besides this video, which will only cover basics, there will be 2 others. In a month or so I'll release an advanced guide which is tailored to people who are already comfortable with the hero and want to take it to the next step. After that I'll release an expert guide on Storm Spirit, where I'll be talking about its purpose in the pro scene and interviewing someone who knows that hero better than they know themselves. To start off with, let's go over the pros and cons of Storm Spirit. So let's start with the pros. First of all, he is a greedy hero. And you might think this is a negative aspect of Storm, but honestly being able to eat space and eat farm is really important when you play mid, especially in solo queue, because it means you don't have to rely as much on your other teammates. He is also a space creator, which is great for team settings. He is able to create a lot of space if needed. He is also probably one of the best solo killers in the game. He can basically 1v1 everyone in the mid game if they have the same farm. And that brings us to the next point. He's basically invincible with perfect play, due to him having an ult that literally makes him invincible. If you time everything correctly and read the opponents well enough, you are invincible. Next up is that he has a high skill ceiling. Basically, there is no real point of mastery with Storm. Of course you can become really good, but you'll never truly be perfect at Storm. Which honestly, with a lot of other heroes you basically can become perfect with them. But with Storm there's a lot of calculation and advanced mechanics that can take years to master. He also has huge kill potential, very early on as well. I think he's one of the most aggressive mids you can play. If you know him well enough, you're gonna get a kill at level 6 basically every game. And the final pro of Storm is that it comes online very early. I would say usually Storm comes around at around 12 or 13 minutes, depending on when you get your Orchid Malevolence, which we'll talk about a lot later. But anyways, he's one of the mids that come online the earliest. And you might hear 12-13 minutes and think, wow, that's super late. But it's really not, because at that timing he will basically beat anyone if given the opportunity. So let's talk about the cons, let's get it over with. First of all, he has a pretty high skill floor. This isn't a hero that you're just gonna play one game and then become perfect at. Honestly, just getting the mechanics down takes a couple of days, and then just learning the basics with the hero can take weeks or even months of active playing with him, which might sound insane, but honestly, he's quite an advanced hero, and a lot of mistakes that would be fine on other heroes are not on Storm Spirit. And he is also very susceptible to debuffs. If the enemy has a lot of silence, for example a silencer, or a lot of stuns, then it can become quite difficult to play around the enemy team. Of course there are items to help this and there are ways to circumvent the issues with debuffs, but still he is very susceptible to debuffs. Third, he is not perfect in every game. He is not a cheese pick by any means, but still Storm is a hero that is great in some matchups and meh in some, while other heroes might be okay in all matchups. Again, I'm not sure if this is a con or pro, but it's just more a fact about Storm. I'm not saying you can't spam him, I'm just saying that he might not be the best in all games. The next con is that reaction speed matters. Like with AM or Puck or other heroes, reaction speed matters. And I am not sure if this is a con or pro, but it's more just a fact about Storm. Because being able to channel your ult just a couple frames earlier might save the game, or at least your life. And I feel like I need to say this, no, it's not a requirement to have good reaction speed. My reaction speed is trash, but still it's just a fact that if you have better reaction speed, you're probably gonna be a bit better at Storm. And finally, he gets countered by team coordination. There's a reason he has a quite low win percentage in professional Dota games, and that is simply because if everyone on the enemy team has a mic, then it can be a bit harder to find solo people. And the enemy is probably gonna incorporate some baits into their strategy, which is gonna make your life a lot harder. But again, this doesn't matter for like 90% of Dota players who only play in ranked or in low level competitive teams, but still it can be a good point to keep in mind. That being said, let's get into a match and I'll show you how it should look when you play Storm at a basic level. You might be wondering what I mean by a basic level, but what I mean is that the Storm I'll be showing you today is pretty much good enough to climb to Archon or so. Another way to look at it is to see it as the fundamentals of Storm. If you can't get everything down in this video, play more games with Storm before continuing. First of all, let's talk about items. The main progression for Storm is as follows: Orchid before 14 minutes, Tread around 16 minutes, Kaya 19, Bloodstone 26, Scythe of Ice 35, Bloodthorn 41, Moonshard 48. When it comes to the starting and early items, I have a guide linked in the description that will cover all that for you. I'll talk more about it in the advanced guide, but for now, honestly, if you just want to learn Storm at a basic level, just click the link in the description. Anyways, let's get into the fun part. Let's talk about the lane. So, you will start by scaling your Q ability, Static Remnant. This ability simply creates an explosively charged image of Storm Spirit that lasts around 12 seconds and will detonate and deal damage if an enemy unit comes near it. You've all probably seen it, but you know, this is Storm's main farming ability, so when you have the mana or you're on top of an enemy, feel free to spam the shit out of this ability. It deals a lot of damage. Next up, you'll get your E, which is a passive that gives you a single explosive right click after you cast a spell. A lot of beginners focus way too much of the magic damage of Storm, while neglecting his right click. Honestly, if you're in a fight and you don't have anyone to dive, and you know the enemy already knows you're there, it honestly isn't that bad to just stand back and right click people while spamming Q to get your explosive charges. Your right clicks deal a lot of damage. Up until level 3 you have very little kill potential, probably the least of basically any mid. But right the second you hit level 3, your kill potential spikes by a lot. If you get close enough to the enemy, you'll be able to execute Storm's strongest combo. W, right click, Q, right click. Honestly, even if you don't get a kill, this is a pretty decent harassing method in lane as well. So when you get an opportunity to do W, right click, Q, right click on the enemy, just do it. They'll respect you a lot more because of it. Other than that, the lane is fairly simple at the basic level. At level 4, you're able to go take jungle camps if you feel it's needed, if the lane is rough enough, like against a sniper. Oh, wait, did I forget about something? Oh, right. That's right, it's time to talk about Storm's most characteristic move, his Ball of Lightning. After playing Storm for a while, zapping will basically feel more natural than walking. You'll live for the moments where you barely dodge a detrimental stun. So, what is it that makes this ability so special? First of all, it has no cooldown, meaning the only limiting factor is your mana. Secondly, it makes you immortal. Literally, like no caveat, no bullshit. While zapping you're literally immortal, you can't die. It also deals damage based on how long you've traveled before reaching your target. So sometimes taking a risky long zap will pay off. A very extreme example of this is fountain diving. Because wait, did I mention that you can use items while zapping? Well, you can, which leads to moments like this. Anyways, sorry about that. Let's talk about talents. Left, right, left, left. That's it. There are of course variations and stuff, but I'll talk more about that in the advanced guide. Finally, let's talk about the late game Storm. Some are scared of this stage, some are waiting the entire game to get to late game. It varies a lot from person to person. Personally, when I started playing Storm, I hated the late game. Usually if I died it would result in a loss, guaranteed. But now I actually love the late game, mainly due to having a high amount of Bloodstone charges. Bloodstone charges are gained when you're near an enemy dying and lost when you die. The more charges you get, the more mana per second you gain. Basically, if you're winning late game, you should be able to dash in on the enemy and out every 20 seconds or so, due to your mana regaining so incredibly fast. If you're losing, you basically gain a radius around your fountain, where you'll be able to dash in and out of your fountain, constantly dealing free damage to the enemy. In the end though, late game Storm is really quite similar to mid game Storm, just a bit easier and a bit more safe in my opinion. Anyways, thanks a ton for watching. I'll be releasing the second and third part in a couple of weeks, but if you want them sooner, feel free to subscribe. Also, thanks a lot to Captain Icebrook and Kyo for answering a lot of my questions and helping me format this series and proofreading it and stuff. But anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!